All right. Check what we got for the 80 Trans Am. We got an ethanol sensor so it can read the E85 content percentage and make adjustments as needed to the fueling with the Haltech Rebel LS. We got the Motion Raceworks E85 sensor holder. That's just a GM E85 sensor. He's got a couple of 8AN fittings. I'm gonna put it on the return line. We got it both goes in on this side. See, it comes in, the pump's underneath the car. Comes up, goes in the back of the rails, comes up, comes out these two, comes over to the regulator, and then gets returned back to the tank out the bottom. But yeah, we need to put that in a straight shot because you know that sensor bracket, it don't bend like the hose does. So I think we're going to put it right here. I need to make sure that I've got two straight 8AN PTFE fittings because this is PTFE line. So let me check that. I'm pretty sure I did. You know, actually, if I had an 8AN to 8AN female right here, I could just, without cutting line or anything, I could just put it in there. I mean, that hose can come out this way. It don't bother. It don't matter nothing. I'm gonna see if I got one of those. Well, I don't have one of those female. So we're gonna have to cut the line, which is gonna make it look cleaner anyway, because we need to shorten the line when we do this anyway. But anyway, let's take this sensor out and let's put it in our little sensor holder. And the reason that we do this is because if we just put this in there, it's just a 3/8 line. That would make it a restriction on our combo. So what this does is it allows it to flow through the sensor, which will be right here, and it also allows it to flow through here. So yeah, it flows through the sensor enough for the sensor to get its reading, but it doesn't impede the flow because it's got an extra thing right there. Let's take it out and look at it. Yeah, as you can see down in there, it goes through the sensor on this side where my finger's at, and then goes through there on that side. So it doesn't impede the flow of the line that you have. It still acts as, you know, an 8AN hose. All right, there's this little bracket piece. It acts as a holder and it also acts as a mount, depending on which way you want to put it. But we're going to go ahead and take these two bolts and nuts off and take this off. All right, so once I took that nut and bolt out, this piece come off and this piece come off. So that's what we got. Now we should be able to pull this apart. Yep, just like that. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take the sensor out and we're going to take these red things off, and right here where my thumb's at, we're going to lube that up with some Vaseline. There's the sensor. Again, we're going to lube that up with some Vaseline because it's going to slide up in there, and there should be some rubber O-rings up in there. We don't want to damage those, so we need to put some Vaseline on this stuff. But you could probably use a dab of spit, a little bit of grease, whatever. Alright, we got her lubed up with the petroleum jelly. Vaseline, that's a brand name. But anyway, yeah, got her lubed up. Now we're going to stick her in here and right here. I'll show you once we get it part way together. Alright, so carefully, that's not popped in already, but you put those up inside these holes and then just carefully push up in there and it'll pop past that rubber seal. Now, and it does take a little bit of pressure. Now, especially on this side, because we're putting it in, we've only got the sensor in this side, but now this time we're going to be putting that rubber seal in that one and this rubber seal in that one. All right, there we go. Took a little bit of pressure, but it went. But yeah, that second one where you have to put it in this one and this one at the same time, that wasn't easy. I had to push pretty hard. You can see I left red marks on my hand, on both hands. Yeah, anyway, now we're going to take these fittings and put them right in there. Actually, we're going to put the bolts back in just like that, just like we took this thing off. We're going to put it right back on the way we took it off. That basically just holds it all together so it can't, under fuel pressure, pop loose. And there we go. We ain't tightened our nuts and bolts up yet, but we're going to right here in a minute. But you can spin this sensor around, like, use my big old belly. It'll move around, see? Now, that bracket on there, it only moves so far, but you get a pretty wide range of motion there that you can spin this sensor around. See? But anyway, let's tighten up the nuts and bolts. All right, we're going to put our orb pieces in here, and I'm pretty sure these are 8AN orb to 8AN. But lube up your rubber seal there. I usually just put a little spit on it. We're going to have to take this hose out, and we're going to put it like right in here. So we need to cut off as much as this is long. So yeah. So we're going to put it like right there. And then the wiring can go up and around and through there. Now the straighter you cut this, the easier your life's going to be. Yeah, we're going to cut it right about here. Then we'll take some of this out. But that fitting, it won't come off and under the throttle body without taking some of that stuff off. I don't feel like taking it off. I got these big wire cutters that I use. I just put it right there and I cut it. Sometimes the braided stuff, the metal braided stuff, that cutter I go through too, but sometimes I'll use an angle grinder with a cutoff wheel, which there's still gas in the line and get those sparks, so we don't want to do that. So we're just going to use these right here. We're going to put them right there. That should leave us enough room to be able to fight a fitting on. Alright, we got her cut, and we're going to put this piece on first. And then, what I usually do, and they make a tool for this. Maybe I have that tool. Let me see if I can find that tool. That tool pushes in there and straightens that hole up real good, but you can also use this to straighten the hole up real good too. Alright, that braided hose poked me a million times, but I use this, straighten the hole up. Now that goes in there nice and good, just like that. Now we put this thing on there, and sometimes this can be tricky to get on. It goes under the frayed metal stuff right here. It goes under that, and then it goes over the top of the outside of that plastic. Yeah, look, bleeding. And when you put that in there, you want to make sure that the white part goes all the way up to that ledge inside there. Oh, that's going to be a problem. We'll have to push that down a little. But yeah, you want the white all the way up against that ledge. It looks like it is. Sometimes you gotta use a piece of board and tap on that and tap that down in there, but that ain't good right there. I don't know if we just cut it bad or what, but we need to try to flatten that out. We'll stick a flatbed screwdriver in there or something. All right, and then we're gonna lube this part up where my finger's at. We're gonna shove it up in there. This is PTFE. I find the PTFE stuff a lot easier to do than just the regular braided hose myself. So I just think it's easier. I think it goes together easier. You don't want to force it too hard when you put it in that hole, because you'll kink that plastic and even put a tear in it and it'll leak. But yeah, that slid right in there, no problem. And now our thing slid way down here. We'll bring that up here, and then we're going to screw this onto those threads right there. Sometimes it's hard to get past all that frayed stuff, but it'll go past it. See, it went past it, and now we'll just screw that onto here. And I just use 2 big crescent wrenches. They make special wrenches for these, but I just use 2 crescent wrenches and screw it together. But you want to try to get these all the way together. Sometimes they won't go all the way together, but you want to get this tight. You want to get that as tight as you can get it. Now when you tighten these up on the fittings, you don't have to get it real tight. But this right here, you want to get it as tight as you can get it. And ta-da! Yeah, that ain't going nowhere. It's good. It's away from everything. I put some wire loom right here where it's going to be rubbing on stuff, and the rest of it's a straight shot through. But we need a connector from there to run inside to the ECM, which is in the glove box right there. But we need the connector, and then we'll do some wiring. I'll get a connector ordered, but let's start it up, make sure it don't leak. Looks good so far. We'll let it run a little while, make absolutely sure it's not leaking. Alright, no leaky leak. No leaky leak at all. Looks good. See, no drips, no nothing. Looks good. Alright, let me order a connector. We'll get the connector. We'll run that to the Haltech Rebel, and then we'll set up the computer for that. We'll go over that too. Working out. Alright, I got the car parked outside. I pulled mine in and messed in with it while we waited on this connector. But here's the connector. So you got power, switch 12 power. There's the red. Then you got ground in the middle. And then we got the signal wire, which is the white one. So what we're going to do, the ground, we're just going to run over here with all these other grounds I've got run over here. We'll just run that one over to there. And then the power and the ground, we're going to run inside the car. See, we got this switch 12 volt A that we're not using. All right, so the red goes to a 12 volt switch source. So I just got these sitting up here for now. That's what we're going to run in the car. But I need to go get some wire loom, and I need to, it's getting dark. I need to get some wire loom, and it's getting dark, so we will continue tomorrow. We got it all wired up just like I said it would. Signal wire to SPI4, and then ground. The ground and switch power, you don't have to run it to that ECU. You can run it to the ignition switch, or the reason I say that is because I grounded it to the frame, but I did send the red to the 12 volt switched from the ECU, and then I sent the white to the reference wire, and now we're going to set the tune to read the sensor and see what we get. All right, to turn on the flex fuel, we're going to go to sensors over here, and we're going to go to flex fuel composition temperature, just like that. And then we're going to go down here to where it says flex fuel composition temperature. We're going to assign one of these SPIs to it, and the way it pulls up, I don't know why they scooted over here. Expand this out a little bit, and then assign an SPI to it. The SPI4 is where your reference wire has to go. The hot and the ground, the hot 12 volt switch, again, ground to ground. The plugins have some in them, or you can just use one off the ignition or just anywhere ground, whatever. And then after you have that, it should look like that ain't correct. Actually, I'll go over one that's correct for the fuel temperature, but I don't think that sensor we got even reads the fuel temperature. But this is correct for the flex fuel. But you can mess with that if you want. But another thing you have to do is you have to go down here to fuel tuning, and then ethanol. It was on ethanol petrol gas blend 80%, and we're going to change this to flex fuel. So now it reads the percentage.
And that's all I did. Now I'm gonna ask the tuner if that's the correct way to do it, but that's the way I've done it, and it seems to be working. But yeah. And from what I gather from the internet, this is what the table should look like for the fuel temperature. If you've got one that reads fuel temperature.
75%. It bounced around a little a while ago from 73 to 75. Yeah, it looks like it's working. That's about right.